engage, disrupt, adapt, repeat. You're listening to Pure Reinvention, the podcast for curious people.
Here with our co-host, Dru Mitchell, who's the Chief Executive Officer of the Clinton County Economic Alliance, a participant of our Starters experience in downtown Detroit, and helping me communicate for the month of May the very important subject of ownership. Dru, as you've reflected on our interviews in May, our first Starters experience, as we're entering our second Starters experience, what kinds of takeaways are you highlighting for your own world in terms of ownership?
Well, one that comes to mind is I don't like surprises. And so I try to think of what the end game is or the end result is that I'm looking for. And so that gives me confidence that as you talk reinvention, that I'm much more comfortable with the direction I'm going to be going in.
Well, let's talk a bit about that. It's a Steven Covey principle, right? Mm-hmm. Start with the end in mind. Mm-hmm. And I think that we've learned through the podcast guests that we've had this month that by being able to identify what the end game is, at least in some way, right, and enough to give us comfort, you're beginning to say that's what is able to drive the confidence you need to do the pre-steps, because you have some conceptual idea of where you want to land, and so it makes ownership easier.
I think so. And whether it's a strategic plan or your annual goals and objectives, like for Chris, he wants to increase, number of people coming to the city or more sports. And he mentioned some interesting sports that are now sports like video gaming.
Yes. Right. Important in his concept, it was not the traditional sports maybe that everybody else is thinking about, but he had expanded his mind and probably expanded his team's mind to understand that they were going after all sports.
Yeah. Yes.
To give themselves the competitive advantage.
Yes. Whatever the explanation for sport is. For them now, it's certainly widened the field, if you will.
Right. And it's ever changing. So whatever comes up can go under that umbrella.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess for me, the direction that you need to be going in, that owning what you want to accomplish drives the direction that you go in.
This week's episode is sponsored by HRM Services, providing solutions that work. HRMS provides customized human resource consulting services to fit the unique needs of their clients. Every client has a story, and they make it their business to learn yours. Contact HRM Services today at 517-974-8033 or visit their website at hrmservices.biz.
So what is it that we've learned that's in somebody's DNA that makes them show up for a starters experience, that makes them change their current pattern to go into a new pattern? What is it that is in a leadership's behavior that makes them capable of adapting and changing and adding or taking away from the current in order to hit these new marks?
Well, they're certainly open to new ideas and listening to them, not poo-pooing them, but actually listening and entering into a discussion about how might I incorporate that.
That's that professional curiosity, isn't it?
Yeah, curiosity, absolutely.
Yeah, I think having both professional and personal curiosity is huge with ownership, because we're not intended to know everything. And Dru, you said this early this month. Ownership is about passion. And so if you're going to have that passion, it's something that you understand, and it's something you've been curious about, and it's something you've developed a knowledge awareness of to be able to get really excited about it.
Well, and I think
be able to own it.
Yes, and you need to surround yourself with or work with folks that either have a similar passion for what yours is or what that end game is.
Talk for a minute about how important surrounding yourself with the right environment of people and boards and, your surrounding, supporting group that fuels that passion and encourages you and keeps you moving forward. How important is that?
crucial, and it's not that I want to surround myself with negative Nellies, but you need some of those folks to say, hey, wait a minute, let's think about this. What's the construct that we're working within now? And what's that change going to bring? And is it better or for us or not better for us? And be able to analyze and discuss, again, that listening point, discuss what it is that you're talking about and to reach the right decision for yourself or for your organization.
You really just highlighted something that I hadn't really given a lot of thought to, but I think it's incredibly important. I think sometimes we just think we've just got to make it happen. We go it alone. But the reality is, if you're not moving forward, there's a couple of internal questions you have to ask yourself. One, are you surrounding yourself with people who don't want to move forward? Mm-hmm. Have you surrounded yourself with a board who doesn't want to move forward? And if you are going to move forward, you're going to need to have people around you who are capable and eager of moving forward. Right. And you're going to have a board of directors or supporting ownership, wherever your ownership is, that is encouraging you and expecting you to move forward as well. We don't talk about that a lot, do we, Dru?
No. And I think being in the nonprofit world for a number of years, that one of the biggest challenges for a CEO of an organization is their board. I mean, that discussion comes up at every meeting that, how do I deal with this board member or a full board, and how do you transition them out if they're not in a moving forward mind frame? That's certainly when there's demands on everyone's charitable dollars nowadays is a pretty important key to what's that board member bringing to the organization.
And make no mistake about it, you can't have everybody that's forward facing and want to jump off the cliff.
Right.
However, there has to be certain individuals in key places who have the capacity to support the understanding that it's important for a business to move forward. And so if you've got a board of 10, 12, 15 individuals, we're not saying all 10, 12, or 15 need to be of that capacity to jump. What we are saying, though, is that there has to be a few on that board who are willing to support and encourage and bring the rest of the directors along on the importance of why that should take place. The same at the staff level, that not everyone is going to have the same skill set. Chris Smith taught us that it's not important for everybody to have the same skill set, but we also have to have people that can move things up the field.
And be respectful of the abilities that they're bringing to the table.
Some people are actively involved in moving things up the field. Some are involved in protecting the people that are moving the ball up the field. Some are important in different roles. Yeah. But ultimately, we all on the field recognize our goal is to move up the field.
Correct.
And I think sometimes there's that true owners understand, right, moving in that direction. I think sometimes we confuse activity with ownership. Mm-hmm. And, we can be very active and move things from sideline to sideline and never really accomplish true direction. So how do we make sure we're focused on moving forward, Dru?
I think that you can't be hesitant to try something different, and you have to kind of close your ears to someone saying, well, we tried that 3 years ago and it didn't work. These are all different times. I think that surrounding yourself with people from different industries, for me in work, is different industries, different backgrounds.
Good diversity.
Yes, and down to whether they live or are in an urban or rural environment. Sure. That it is the diversity of the individuals that you surround yourself with that will help guide you, and you need to listen. You just need to listen.
Well, I think that there you have it. Dru has really said. With the diverse team, I mean, this is again what we've learned from our podcast guests this much. You have a diverse team of capacity around you, different skill sets. Listen, learn from the people that are around you. Dru, it was you that said we've got to have a good idea of what the end game could be, so we can begin to drive a vision towards that. Understand as we go, adapt, change, but keep our eye on the horizon of where we want to go. And it's amazing the number of people that will support an individual who's ready to own a journey. It is not for everyone, but it is very much appreciated by many when someone's willing to step up and own a portion of of the journey. And I think, Dru, we're going to encourage people, if they get a chance to be in the ownership role, that they take it and make the best use of it.
Yeah, don't be afraid of it.
So if you're ready for change, make it a change that lasts. Make it Pure Reinvention.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Pure Reinvention. Keep the conversation going and get alerts when new podcasts are up by following us on Twitter @Pure Reinvention or sign up for our mailing list at purereinvention.com.